Hola amigos and happy November. This is my travel income and kind of monthly report for the last 31 days that I spent here in Mexico as a digital nomad and as a location independent entrepreneur. Let's get straight into this month's update. All right, so for those who've been following me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll know that I've been in Cancun and Playa del Carmen for the last month. So I came for the Nomad Summit, and it's been great. I wanted to check out Playa del Carmen for a long time now because I've heard it's a good digital nomad hotspot, as well as a expat kind of place to live that is near the US, in the same time zone, low cost of living, good weather, near the beach. It's warm in the winter. It just sounds perfect. I also really love Mexican food. I like Mexican people. I like the culture. I love the food, actually. I like the beer. I like the beaches. I like scuba diving. So really, on paper, it sounded amazing. And I was like, I have to come check this out. Of course, there's all the speculation about danger. You know, especially if you watch the US news, they're all saying how dangerous Mexico is, how dangerous Cancun is. And if you like Google it, you're like, oh no, I shouldn't go. But luckily, I have had enough friends who actually live here for them to be like, no, like you're fine. You know, like bad things happen everywhere, but day-to-day life, you're fine. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come check it out myself. And you know what? It's been fine. It's the same as when you're in like Sri Lanka or in Bangkok or even Bali, and like people tell you, you know, you're gonna get killed. Most likely you're not. Like it's the same as being in any big US city, New York, LA, San Francisco, which, to be honest, I feel way less safe in all those cities than I do here. Some, you know, things happen here, as in crazy, cartel stuff happens with like drug dealers. But as long as you stay away from the drugs and stay kind of away from that area, which is super out of the center anyways, you don't have to worry about it. The other thing you have to slightly worry about is like petty theft, right? If you leave your windows unlocked, someone might come in. If you're on the main tourist area, someone might, you know, come and take your bag or something if you're not watching. So it's not like Thailand safe, but it is about the same as like Vietnam, so, you know, Saigon, probably actually Bali. It's probably the exact same thing as Bali. I know just as many people who get robbed in Bali as here. So kind of sucks, but overall it's still very safe. And as long as you kind of use a little bit of common sense and watch your stuff, you'll be okay. So I really, really liked it here so far. The traveling kind of part of it, I first came straight to Playa del Carmen from Las Vegas, and it was crazy. My flight was at like 5 a.m., which meant I had to wake up at 4 a.m., get to the airport, and then fly through Houston over to Cancun, and then take an hour bus to Playa del Carmen. And I was going to give a talk at the Playapreneurs Summit that very night. So imagine partying in Vegas and then saying, like, no, I have to go home, go to sleep early so I can sleep at least 6 hours. And it worked. So I was actually fine. The Nomad Summit went really, really well. We had 179 people come, and it was a really, really good event. I wrote an entire blog post kind of recapping it, so you can check that one out. But what's really cool is afterwards, a ton of us, like 50, 60, 70 of us, went to Playa del Carmen afterwards, and we have been hanging out, been doing like day trips. And this is us in the Mayan temple called Chichen Itza, which is actually one of the new 7 wonders in the world. And it's really, really beautiful. I have this entire video that I made showing Chichen Itza, showing the cenotes, which are these really cool underground watering holes that you can jump in and swim in. It's like a must do if you ever come here, as well as some of the cool things in Playa del Carmen itself. So definitely watch that video after this. And I also did a lot of scuba diving. So not only did we go scuba diving with the Nomad Summit Cancun crew, we had 40 people on the boat who all either dove or snorkeled. And there's a bunch of people who did it for the first time. So that's a really, really cool part of our tradition now. We try to do scuba diving as much as we can after the conferences. And that was super fun. So we had an entire boat full of people scuba diving, you know, swimming around with turtles. It was a beautiful dive. And to get into kind of the expenses for the month, I knew that Mexico was going to be a little bit more expensive than Thailand or even some parts of like Eastern Europe. But luckily, most things are actually pretty cheap. There are a few things that are more expensive, like SIM card data. For whatever reason, it's $25 a month for a 6 gig plan, which is not terrible, but that same plan would be like $15 in Thailand or even in lots of Eastern Europe. So it's cheaper than the US. It's about half the price probably as the US for that and many other things, but it's still kind of expensive compared to super cheap places that a lot of nomads like to live. Rent is another thing. This apartment I'm in now, I rented on Airbnb, and per month, it's about $600. So I have a breakdown on my blog, and if you guys want to join the email list, I've been sending out a lot of emails pretty much every day since I've been here with like daily updates of things, what's happening, kind of traveling tips, things I don't necessarily make on the blog, but I just want to share with everyone. So if you haven't joined the email list, go to johnnyfe.com, put your email address in there, and join the Travel Like a Boss Army. That's what we call ourselves. And hopefully we'll keep you updated with everything. So the Airbnb was $540 for the month. And for the monthly rentals, for whatever reason, electricity isn't included. I think it's because they know that if they include it, people might just leave the AC on blast the whole day, leave it on when they leave, and it's not turning off, and the bill ends up being hundreds of dollars. So my host said the first $20 is included, and if it goes over that, then I'll pay the difference. So I think it's going to be around $30 because I use AC, but I make sure I turn it off, and I only put it on 26. It never goes colder than that. And when I sleep, I leave it on 28 actually. My cell phone is actually my US number with AT&T Go. That's who I use when I'm in the US. And then I pause it by switching to the $2 a day plan, which only activates if I actually use the phone. And I take out the SIM card, so I'm not using it. And what's cool is if you sign up for auto renew, you get a $10 discount. So it's actually only $40 a month for 8 gigs. And it has my US number. I can call, and use my phone when I'm in the US and in Mexico. So that's pretty convenient. If I was going to be here much longer, if I was going to be here for like 6 months or a year, I'd probably switch to a local SIM card. But $40, having the convenience of that for a month, it's not a big deal. I also spent money doing a bunch of side trips. So like the audio bus from Cancun to Playa Del Carmen back and forth, it's $11 each way. But take a lot of taxis. Taxis are about $2 to $3 a ride here. There's no Uber in Playa del Carmen. There is Uber in some parts of Cancun, especially downtown Cancun, but not from the airport. So in Cancun, it kind of sucks if you want to take a cab because it's expensive. The nice thing though, and actually it's also kind of expensive near the bus station here in Playa del Carmen. The nice thing is that it's only $4 to go anywhere in the center, so it's really not that big of a deal. And what's cool is after you've checked in and you're like become kind of more of a local, you'll realize you can flag taxis down on the street and not at the taxi stands, and then it becomes half the price. So that ends up being like $2, $2.60 per ride anywhere in the center. I live right in the center. I'm walking distance to the beach. It's probably like an 8-minute walk. And 8-minute walk to the co-working space in Selena where I'm at, 5-minute walk to the gym, a place called Evolve. And all these places, things like the gym membership, they would be cheaper if I did a 3-month or a 6-month contract, but I'm only here for a month, so I'm happy that they have a monthly pass for $33 with no initiation fees. Very happy with that. I've also got a couple of massages. They're about $20 for an hour right on the beach, which is really, really nice. I think in high season, it's more expensive. They just have promos now that it's kind of low season. And I've been eating a lot of great Mexican food, like so many tacos. I just got tacos actually right before I came here. And they're good. They're about 15 pesos per taco, which is 80 cents. And 3 of them will fill up most people. I normally have 5 because I'm a big guy, and they're so good. But for, $2-3, you can have a meal. And they're so good. You can literally have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you want. A lot of local Mexicans do that. But obviously, if you can change it up, there's really nice food, and even like Western food on the main strip of Fifth Avenue. But I almost never eat there because it's almost US prices. I had a friend, she wanted to eat at this like, nicer kind of sit down place. I looked at the menu, I'm like, oh man, everything's like $18. While at a local Mexican spot, everything would be like $4. So we actually went down the street and we had shrimp burritos at this local spot, and it was so good. And I was like, why would we pay 5 times as much just to sit at like a nicer place? So I've been eating a lot of really local food. And so I probably didn't spend that much money, about $375 or so, which is a bit less than what I would spend in other places. And I haven't cooked at all. I haven't cooked once since I've been here. Drinks are pretty cheap as well, but it also depends on where you go. I average about $2 a beer, but it really depends on what type of bar you're at. If you're on 5th Street, where all the kind of major, touristy places are, and not even just tourist places, they're just like in the nicer places, right? They're like the big clubs, the nice clubs. A lot of locals will go there too, but normally only like on the weekends or once a week. If you want to have a drink a block away, kind of away from the beach, it becomes half the price. And actually, if you have a beer on the beach at one of the bars, it doubles again. So then you're looking at almost US prices, but then you're on a really nice beach. And there's also a place called, I can't pronounce it, Chula something, but everything is 21 pesos. You can just ask someone if it's a 21 and they'll point you at it. There's actually like 3 locations here, and everything is 21 pesos, including food, shots, beers, mixed drinks, margaritas, whatever you want. It's actually really cool. I'm like, why would we ever go anywhere else besides here? So I really like it. And you can kind of see this is an easy life. I mean, getting around, I've been riding these BC Playa shared bikes, which I love. I love cities that are walkable and bikeable with shared bikes. There's only been a handful of places that I've lived that have shared bikes, including Chiang Mai, which I really liked. In BC Playa, it's even better, or in Playa del Carmen, because these are everywhere. These are every like 2 blocks. And because they're new, they have a promo where for $22, you can get a 1-year membership, and you can take the bikes as many times as you want a day, 30 minutes at a time. So you just drop them off kind of in between. Normally you just ride it somewhere, drop it off, and there's nothing is more than 10 minutes away in Playa del Carmen anyways. And then it's free. So $22 a year. I think that's half price right now. But even at $40 a year, like $4 a month, that's still be super cheap to have it. I love them. The only downside, BC Playa, if you guys are listening, it sucks that they stop working at 11 p.m., which means if you're at a bar and you're like, oh man, it's almost 11, you're kind of stuck because you probably don't want to leave. It's kind of like when the metro in San Francisco stops at midnight. It's so stupid. But luckily, taxis are pretty cheap. At night, they're a little bit more. They're 50 pesos instead of 40 or 30. So, but it's still less than $3. So it's fine. And I live in the center, so I normally just walk back. But it would be nice if I could ride these bikes home. Here are some of the tacos I've been eating, the 80-cent tacos. There are so many different ones here. In the US, we normally have like carne asada, maybe carnitas, maybe like, I don't even know what else is popular anymore. But there's just only like a few. Here, there's so many types of meat, including the one on top. It's called chuleta. It's literally a pork chop that they chop up and put in as a taco. They have a chorizo one that always comes with, I think, some potatoes in there. It's really good. They have all these different types of like carne asada type beef meats, but they're all different. And it's so tasty. It's so good. And they also have something called a pastor, which comes on like a kebab, and it also has a little bit of pineapple with it. It's super tasty as well. We really, really like it. So I've been trying to like spend as little money as possible this month by eating, like local food, taking shared bikes, walking everywhere. And my expenses for the month were $1,230, which is actually pretty good. It's like kind of what I normally spend in most of Eastern Europe, sometimes in Chiang Mai as well. I could live for a little bit cheaper, but then I enjoy everything that I do. So it's perfect. As long as I'm spending less than $1,500 a month, I'm very happy. And last month I spent a lot. I spent $3,300 because I was in the US, I bought an iPhone, I bought some clothes and things like that. So this month, much, much cheaper. The only thing that I don't include in that, but it costs me a lot, is I give my parents $1,000 a month for their retirement. And actually this month I bought my buddy Chris a new MacBook charger because he unfortunately got his bag stolen at a Starbucks. So if you guys are ever on the very touristy street and people come in like trying to sell you stuff, just watch your stuff because they might be, secretly trying to steal something. Luckily his MacBook was not in the bag, so they just got the charger, his passport, which sucks. Don't carry your passport with you guys. Keep a photocopy of it, and take a picture of the stamp that you go in and out. But don't bring your passport with you. Just leave it in your apartment because there's no reason to carry it with you. And he had some cash in there as well, which is unfortunate. So he was really stressed out, and then he was really pissed that he had to go buy a new MacBook charger. And then he was even more pissed that it was gonna be $100. And I saw that on his face. I was like, what can I do to relieve him of some of this pain? And I was like, you know what? I don't want to spend $100 on the charger either. But from the pain of me losing $100 or spending $100 is pretty minor. It's not really going to affect my life in any way. But if I can spend that money and take away some of his pain on a really bad day of his life, that's worth it to me. So when it came to pay, I was like, hey, I got this for you. Happy early Christmas. And that's why I work. I mean, to be honest, I can live just super cheap. I'd probably be happy living, off of less than $1,000 a month in Chiang Mai or here. But I like having extra money so I can do stuff. I can treat friends out. I can be generous. I can do things. So for work-wise, I've been spending the last 7 months organizing the Nomad Summit, and it went really well. People loved it. We had a good turnout. But unfortunately, when we added up all the cost, especially because I'm paying for 3 other persons' salaries, there's 4 of us. So there's, they're all part-time, but the money that I pay them every month, even for part-time, it adds up because the last conference we had was in January. That was 7 to 9 months ago for a lot of them. And with that money added up, the cost of putting on the conference itself, the advertising budget, the food budget, to pay for everyone's meals, and even just basic travel, nothing even fancy. Just I didn't even expense my flight from Europe because that was for something else. So it was just the local flight, $200 flight, and we still ended up losing about $7,000, $7,618 was the negative loss. So it sucked. I wish it would have been a positive $7,600, but it worked out because people really liked the event. And I think we set the foundation if we do this again next year here. So you might be wondering, how do I support my lifestyle and why do I keep running the Nomad Summit if, half of them are not profitable? It's because I love doing it. I really, really enjoy doing it. I love the people I meet. A lot of people come up to me and say hey, the conference changed my life. I met my business partner. I learned something that kicked off my digital nomad journey. It took me to the next level. And I know it's one day is going to be profitable and it's going to be big. So I keep working on it. It's kind of a passion project, something I'm investing in. And our next one is in January 17th to the 21st, 2020 in Chiang Mai. So make sure you guys are there. That's going to be the big one. And hopefully we won't lose money on that one. But definitely go out to that. It's really, really fun. We had 400 people last year. NomadSummit.com. You can get tickets for that right now. So one of the ways I actually paid for my lifestyle for the last couple of months is I sold some Facebook stock. I sold 50 shares, which I bought for $57 a piece years ago. Now I sold it at $204. And that gave me about $7,300 in net profit from that trade. And because it was more than a year, now it's an investment income. So the taxes are much lower. It's like an investment gain versus earned income. So I, decided to sell some of that off, not only to pay for my living, but also I was holding too much of it. And I was like, let me just get rid of 25% of it. And I still have 150 shares. So I'm going to hold that a lot longer, but at least I got some out while I know the price is pretty good. Also, I have all these investments. It's mostly from the work I did from 2013 to 2017 with all my dropshipping stores. I've now built and sold 3 stores either on my own or I had like a big, like 50% partnership in it. I did one with my ex-girlfriend. And all the money that I made from those stores, both the monthly profit, which is anywhere between $1,500 to $7,000 a month, and I would take all that profit minus my cost of living, which was super cheap because I was bootstrapping in Thailand, plus 100% of the sale of the stores, which in total, I sold one for $60,000, one for $55,000. So in total, that was about $250,000, $250,000 that most people probably would have spent on buying a car, maybe buying a house to live in, maybe going on a trip, maybe just, whatever. I invested all of it. And because of that, I now have enough passive income through investments to kind of skate me by as well. And that's why I'm able to focus on the things I really like doing. I still have a dropshipping store, a few of them actually with partners, but I have a very small percentage. I own 30% of it, but I split that with my team. So I actually only have 15% of those profits, and we're not paying each other out every month. We're just kind of holding it until the end of, if we can get it consistently profitable for 12 months, then we want to flip it and make some money. So the stores are doing pretty good. One of the stores did about $12,000 in sales this month, but we're just trying to get them all more consistent, which means this month, because I haven't really been working on that much, the conference wasn't profitable, I only made $3,000 this month, which isn't that much, especially because I give $1,000 to my parents. My cost of living is $1,500. So really, there wasn't that much left over, but I'm okay with it. I really am. It's really nice to be in a place like this where I don't have to stress that much about money. I think I'm going to have to start another store on my own to get some more cash flow in, and also so I can get some miles so I can start flying business class again. I just been putting it off, to be honest, because I know how much work it takes, especially those first 3 months. And if I had no income, I would absolutely start one. So I'd be like, all right, I need that $2,000 a month or something. But right now, I'm like, I know the other things I'm doing are eventually going to pay off. So let me just keep focusing on that. Plus, I kind of like having less responsibility right now and not having to do customer service. We're not even have to manage someone doing customer service. So I'm kind of taking my time with it. I'm just really happy that when I was dropshipping full time, that I was smart enough to save the money. So if you are doing that and you're making a lot of money right now, save some of it, invest some of it. Promise will pay off. Speaking of investments, I have about $1,700, $1,700 a month coming completely in passive income from my investments, either through dividends or interest, but also they're growing with equity as well, probably about the same rate. And I actually don't count that because it goes up and down. So if you look at my Vanguard dashboard, you can see the red months. Those are the big negatives. But as long as you don't sell, it doesn't hit you. And then the green numbers are the positives. So most months it's growing in value. This month, the dividend returns was only 17 cents, really, because most of them paid per quarter, and that was last month. But the equity gain, the net worth gain, was $5,900. So technically, my net worth is $6,000 more than it was last month. So these are also reasons why I'm not stressed about money, but I also don't count them because unless you sell it, you don't really have it yet. And I don't count my chickens before they hatch. Plus it goes up and down, so it's confusing. But the Facebook stock, I did count that. I actually sold it a few months ago, but I was so busy that I haven't even put it. I honestly kind of forgot about it. And then I had all that money sitting just in my bank account, not even my bank account, my trading account in cash, not earning interest. So I finally moved it. But that actually because I sold it, that actually was a realized gain of $7,000. So to wrap it up for the month, I'm very grateful. I'm so grateful that I'm not stressing. I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I'm doing things I really love doing. It's been awesome here in Mexico. I love it. I love all the people I met. It's been super fun. Conference went so well, even though financially it didn't go that well. But the conference itself went so well. If you talk to anyone who's been there, people really loved it. And I love that people hung out for weeks afterwards to continue hanging out and, connecting. So I hope to see you at the next one in Chiang Mai, Thailand this January. And hope you guys make it out to Mexico because it's really cool. I'll be writing a full guide about Playa Del Carmen soon. But so far, I love it. And I think you will as well. So if you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section, and hopefully I'll see you out here. Hasta luego. See you guys next month. All right, that's it, guys. End of the dive.